Glasgow, located in Scotland's western lowlands, transformed from a modest medieval cathedral town into the industrial powerhouse known as the Second City of the British Empire. Its rise from ecclesiastical backwater to global shipbuilding capital represents one of history's most dramatic urban transformations. Today, advanced AI technology allows us to transform historic paintings and photographs into photorealistic recreations, bringing these lost streets back to life. Join me as we step into the Glasgow our ancestors once knew. In 1600, Glasgow was a small town of barely 7,000 souls clustered around its 12th century cathedral. The high street ran downhill from the cathedral to the Mercat Cross, lined with timber and stone houses. The River Clyde flowed shallow and narrow, fordable at several points, more obstacle than asset. The University of Glasgow, founded in 1451, gave the town scholarly prestige but little wealth. Glasgow lived in the shadow of Edinburgh, Scotland's capital and commercial centre. The town's economy centred on the cathedral and university. Craftsmen, merchants and labourers served the ecclesiastical establishment. The Tron Church marked the town's commercial heart, where the salt market met the high street. Markets sold local produce and goods. Glasgow had no harbour worth noting. The Clyde was too shallow for seagoing vessels. The town seemed destined to remain a provincial backwater. The Reformation of 1560 had stripped the cathedral of Catholic ritual but left the building standing. Protestant Glasgow retained its ecclesiastical character through the 17th century. The town suffered during the Wars of the Three Kingdoms. Plague struck in 1647, killing a quarter of the population. Cromwell's troops occupied Glasgow in the 1650s, yet through these troubles, the town's merchants were quietly building trading connections. The Union of the Crowns in 1603, and especially the Act of Union in 1707, opened transformative opportunities. Scottish merchants gained access to England's colonial trade, particularly with the Americas. Glasgow's position on the western coast, closer to America than any other British port, became a strategic advantage. Tobacco from Virginia and Maryland would make Glasgow's fortune. The tobacco trade exploded after 1707. Glasgow merchants, known as tobacco lords, imported vast quantities of tobacco from American plantations, then re-exported it to Europe. By the 1770s, Glasgow handled over half of all tobacco imported to Britain, £47 million in 1771 alone. Fortunes were made almost overnight. The tobacco lords built grand mansions and warehouses. They strutted along the Trongate and Argyle Street in scarlet cloaks and gold-topped canes, symbols of their wealth and power. This prosperity transformed Glasgow's physical landscape. New streets were laid out west of the High Street: Buchanan Street, Queen Street, George Square. The medieval town expanded into a Georgian city of elegant stone, townhouses and commercial buildings. The population grew from about 13,000 in 1700 to over 40,000 by 1780. Glasgow was becoming a true city. Then came disaster. The American Revolution cut off the tobacco trade. When the colonies declared independence in 1776, Glasgow's merchant princes faced ruin. Many tobacco lords went bankrupt, but Glasgow's merchant class proved adaptable. They redirected capital into manufacturing and trade with the Caribbean. The crisis forced diversification that would serve Glasgow well. The Industrial Revolution saved and remade Glasgow. The city had coal nearby in Lanarkshire, iron ore, and now capital-seeking investment. Cotton manufacturing took off first. By 1790, Glasgow had numerous cotton mills powered by water and then steam. The invention of the steam engine by Glaswegian James Watt revolutionized industry. Engineering works sprang up to build engines and machinery. The River Clyde became central to Glasgow's industrial transformation. Through the 18th century, the river had been deepened by dredging. By 1770, small vessels could reach the Broomielaw Quay in the city centre. Continued deepening through the 19th century turned the Clyde into one of Britain's great commercial waterways. shipbuilding emerged as Glasgow's defining industry. The 19th century saw explosive industrial and population growth. Cotton gave way to heavy industry. Iron, steel, locomotives, and ships. The Clyde became lined with shipyards. Companies like John Elder and Company, Fairfield, and later John Brown and Company built vessels for the world. By 1870, Clyde shipyards produced over 70% of British shipping tonnage. Glasgow-built ships sailed every ocean. The population exploded from 77,000 in 1801 to 762,000 by 1901, making Glasgow Britain's second-largest city after London. Workers poured in from the Scottish Highlands and Ireland seeking factory and shipyard jobs. Tenements rose to house the masses, 4- and 5-story stone buildings lining grid-patterned streets. Some tenements housed workers decently, but many became overcrowded slums where families crammed into single rooms. Victorian Glasgow became a city of stark contrasts. In the West End, wealthy merchants and industrialists built grand villas and terraces. The University of Glasgow moved to Gilmore Hill in 1870, its Gothic revival towers dominating the skyline. Kelvin Grove Park was laid out in the 1850s. George Square became the civic heart, surrounded by imposing public buildings, including the city chambers, completed in 1888 in Italian Renaissance style. But behind the grand facades lay grinding poverty. The East End and Riverside districts housed workers in appalling conditions. Overcrowding, poor sanitation, and industrial pollution created health crises. Cholera epidemics swept through in 1832, 1848, and 1853. Tuberculosis was endemic. Life expectancy in working-class districts was barely 30 years. Glasgow's prosperity was built on the backs of workers living in misery. The city became known for engineering excellence. Locomotive builders supplied railways worldwide. Marine engineering reached unprecedented sophistication. Glasgow engineers pioneered compound and triple expansion engines that revolutionized ocean shipping. Glasgow developed a vibrant cultural life despite industrial grime. The Theatre Royal opened in 1867. Glasgow School of Art, designed by Charles Rennie Mackintosh and built from 1897, represented Glasgow's contribution to Art Nouveau. The city hosted major exhibitions, including the International Exhibition of 1888 in Kelvin Grove Park, showcasing Glasgow's industrial might and cultural ambitions to the world. The late Victorian era represented Glasgow's Imperial zenith. In 1900, the city stood as one of the British Empire's greatest industrial centres. The Clyde's shipyards were the busiest in the world. Glasgow-built locomotives ran on railways across 6 continents. The city's population had increased over tenfold in a century. Grand Victorian buildings proclaimed Glasgow's wealth and confidence.